Hello and welcome to the Sweat and the Farmer and the Game Design, where we know the proper way to eat a dragon fruit, if you know what I mean. This is episode number 11, burning down the Graverobber. I am the learning gamer as the Sweaty.
And I am Lucho the Farmer. Thanks for joining us in this episode. This week we dial up the Mayhem up to 11.
But before that, let's take a look at this week's news. So in the docket we have Ubisoft stocks tanks. Bethesda is now selling $100 annual subscription on their still broken game Fallout 76. And Monster Hunter War Iceborne finally has an official PC release date.
Yep.
Okay, so what happened with Ubisoft, man? They're running like what is happening?
So they release
Yeah.
some of the fiscal review for the 2019-2020 year.
Yep.
And apparently all of their games were underperforming, especially like on sales and numbers.
Yes.
Especially the latest one.
The last one, Ghost Recon
Breakpoint. Yeah. And apparently the Division 2 didn't do as well as they were expecting it. So the whole not meeting the goals just meant that some of their stock went down.
I think there is no fault but their own. Like, I've seen some of the reviews of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and the game is super generic, full of meaningless stuff, terrible in all the ways that like they took the game is like, it has no interesting plot or anything to do. It's like combination of systems that they know they work into in other games, right? So it's like they took like the grinding map of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then they took the item system from the Division 2, and they put a nothing plot on top of it, and they sell that as Ghost Recon, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's just one game, but apparently a lot of their games are underperforming.
Yeah, but
in the sales department.
Yes. But the main thing is like that game didn't sell like it was terrible. Like it didn't sell at all. Because if that game was decent, we will have a different conversation, because that's the game that is like as a transition point. You know what I mean? They won't have a big release till the next big release is Watch Dogs Legion, the new Watch Dogs, the final trilogy entry. And the last big release of them was the Division 2, right?
Yeah.
So Ghost Recon Breakpoint was a bridge between those two releases, right? So if that, and because the accelerated pace which they are releasing games, if that game fall off, it's so like a lot of suffering throughout the whole fiscal year, because they were depending on that game to keep certain parameters. And on the Division 2, like, I'm not surprised, because in release, the game sold very well. We know this, right? The game was very well received. It sold really well. But in these live services games, they are expecting a yield much bigger.
But
right?
it's not only that it sold well, like a lot of your stock depends on how much you can convince your investors that you can sell. So you do all these projections. So if they still sell, even if it is a good amount, if it is less than what they predict, still consider a fail.
Yeah, but I think Division was like, all in all, I think Division was a success, but it wasn't like insane as they thought, because generally this prediction and stock reservation, as we've seen in other companies, are like crazy. Like banana cuckoos when a game has to sell like 3 countries worth of
I don't think that's the case. Like, they have financial people who do these predictions. It's just
no, but they do it all the time. It happens in EA. It happens in Activision. It happens with Tomb Raider franchises. they do it all the time. They overstate, like they overvalue. They put like these insane gaps for what the market is prepared. And even the game is decent, like even if the games in terms of game design or sales is a success, they deem it a failure.
Yeah, but that's not true. That doesn't happen that often as you're
It
painting
happens all the
it.
time. It happens all the time. The last public one was like I put this example. The only game in recent memory that's actually surprised expectation from investors has been Overwatch. All the other games have been not meeting expectation or barely.
I'm not so sure about that. I didn't.
Yes, this happens all the time in the industry. I've been following this because
I
they is the
I want to see the numbers and what you're saying.
is
It's
the
hard to
is
believe.
the worst crime. Is why a lot of studios end up being indie. Is why Bungie separate from Activision, because they do this all the time. They put a
Still,
huge
still, you
strain.
have you still have to show me the numbers. Like that's
I have to show you a bunch of articles where this has been happening repeatedly over the industry, and with this being happening like
yeah, but not just a couple of times. You're calling it a trend. So
yeah, it is like
so that's
since long ago.
but calling it a trend is it's a huge thing. It's not just for the big games of the year.
I will have to show you the articles, but this been happening like for a while. I'm
You have
aware
to
of
show me the
this.
numbers because this is about financial predictions. So show me the
Yeah,
numbers.
exactly. They do it wrong all the time, all the time.
It's hard to believe that they do it wrong. It really is.
You push too much faith into business people in the game industry.
It's not business people. Like if you're a big company, you probably hire people who know how to do that. Like, are you telling me that Blizzard cannot hire a competent enough financial person?
No, because they don't know. That's not the problem. The problem is like they don't know. They don't know the whole picture. Like financially, predict how much a game is gonna sell. It depends of a bunch of things that they don't consider. Right? The only thing that they see.
That's the thing. I cannot believe they don't consider those things.
Yes, because
That just seems naive.
is because quantifying the success of a game is difficult to do. Right?
Sure, but you're not trying to quantify the success. You're just trying to figure out how much are you gonna sell.
Exactly. Right? Video games is such a complex market that they find it very hard to try to like quantify the success of a good and how well it's gonna sell, because it depends on word of mouth, if it's received, if it has a community behind, if it's well developed, if the early reviews are successful or not, if there is buzz, if there is blah blah blah. There's like a shit ton.
All those things seems sound like things that you can.
They're doing these predictions like a year before the final game is released, right? And
yes,
so many
of
things,
course, because they are called predictions.
yeah, exactly. And so many things, and that's what I mean. So many things can change from here to there. That is so difficult to predict what's gonna happen, what if it's gonna successful, and they still base on those initial predictions when they approve the game, right? It's like it's such a guessing game that it happens like they don't meet the mark half of the time. And I'll give you an example. Like, and I'll give you a theoretical example. I'm gonna do Anthem, right? And I will predict that in 2 years, before Anthem had all the problems that it had, Anthem is gonna sell 36 million copies. Was the prediction from Activision?
Yeah, but like you have to back up those numbers with something.
Yes, they do. How they back it up? Oh, the studio has this experience with previous sales of previous games. They have been received XYZ, right? But they never saw all the disaster that was the end year developer of Anthem, right?
Yeah, but Anthem is a really poor example because
that's how they do
the average performance of a game.
That's how they do it all the time. They predict 36 million copies sold in Anthem.
But Anthem is a really underperforming game in every sense.
Another example. Shadow.
Like we should take just.
I'll give you another
normal performing games.
Fine. I will give you another example. Tomb Raider, Shadow of the what is the name? It's like the last entry on the Tomb Raider trilogy, right? Right?
Yep.
They predict how much? How was it? 7 billion. No, yeah, they predict 7 billion copies sold by the 6 month mark. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they predict. Shadow of the Tomb Raider sold 5 billion, and they still deem it unsuccessful game.
Yeah, that's still. I need to see more numbers.
There you
Like
go.
just one or two examples is not enough, and you're just telling me that happens is not enough.
It happens all the time with these big companies. Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
That one, yeah, but that one was bad because it got really bad
I
word of
can keep
mouth.
going.
Which other one?
There's a lot. Let me think. These have been like the most public ones. Let me think. It was the last one that I saw in Gamasutra. I forgot. It was yes, FIFA 2018.
No one is buying those games anymore. Who's buying sports games?
But they do predictions of those games all the time. That's
they
what
sell
I mean.
well. They keep making them.
But they missed the mark. FIFA 2018 missed the mark by 2 million copies sold, and they still deem it like unsuccessful by the parameters on the conference call, in EA conference call.
Nah,
you see what I mean? All the time.
They cannot make good predictions.
I will encourage you to go and dig the internet. This happens all the time. The problem is that now, because they didn't do well, like the reason why this is public is because Ubisoft has a machine to maintain, right? And they did such a poor release that the machine just fall down. Like the wheels just came out, right? And now they're stuck tank because they cannot like launch the next. They have to delay the next launches because they missing money that they were supposed to get to keep those machines going. That's the problem with this.
I cannot believe that they cannot predict that. It sounds
they cannot because the industry is insane. Basically, the gaming industry, the top seniors, administrators, CEOs, and all that people that just makes money from this industry, they want China's cell phone games levels of profit in all these games, in all AAA games, no matter what they genre is, right? And they sell that to the investors. That's what they sell to the investors, right?
Sure, because that's their job as the CEO. Exactly. That's what you have to do.
And they put all these predictions 1 year before the game is out, and this is what happens all the time.
No, but there should have like just people who are able to make the predictions.
You will expect that. But they can do prediction because they make a bunch of mistakes along the way, and they just kill the games. And the prediction is already done. It's already on the portfolio of the investors. Like, why do you think that EA is called the worst company ever, right? Because they do these predictions about profit, and then they push the studios to the brink to deliver garbage upon timelines just to meet these crazy predictions, and they end up killing studios over and over again.
Who cares about the studios? That's not what I'm talking about.
It's a result from this. It's a result
I'm not talking about that. That's
you're talking about that. You think that there is like economic people that should know how to do these predictions properly?
Yes, of course.
But the real world doesn't work like that. The real world works in like future profit promises.
I know that.
Infinite growth.
I know that.
Unsustainable infinite growth. So this happens.
I know how it works. What I'm saying is that it is impossible that they keep doing that.
Well, check the history will prove you wrong, sir.
Show me the numbers. The
history will prove you wrong. I encourage you to go back and search for like releases and statement of profits and statement of how much a game should have sold, and this story is always the same.
No, show me the numbers.
All right.
I don't trust you.
I'm encouraging you. If you wanna, I can like sit down and find all those articles for you at some point.
Find them for me.
All right, I will show you. But this is what ends up happening, and everybody ends up hurting because of that, because they do this crazy prediction that cannot follow through.
Who's being hurt?
all the
I'm
time,
still getting the
Lucho.
games.
What?
I'm still getting the
You're
games.
still
Who's
getting
being
the
hurt?
games. Yeah, that doesn't mean that they don't restructure, close down studios because of this.
Eh, eh. Look at me. Eh.
Okay. Sure.
As long as I get my games.
Okay.
Life is a tough place, man.
Maybe that's mean that this is. I mean, this is the reason why the raid is being delayed in Division 2, for example.
Business closes all the time.
But you know what I mean? Maybe this is the reason why the Division 2 raid was delayed. Because
I don't think so.
Maybe they downsized that team, right? You don't know. They recently they actually named a new game director, assistant game director in the Division 2. The guy who was working in AI, in the AI of the NPCs in Division 2 and Division 1. He was now like super recently, like I think 3 weeks ago, something like that, was named assistant game director for the Division 2. So you see, they're shuffling things around. So maybe that's why
that happens all the time. Like,
yes, I know.
I wouldn't imagine the teams to stay unchanged for long periods of time.
Depending on what team it is, like clearly after launch, they have a restructure just to keep live teams, and they after a certain point they restructure to something else. That's not true. That's natural transition in the games, but you don't know what repercussion is this. But the funny thing is, like, they had to delay a bunch of stuff because of this, because their stocks just crashed. They didn't meet insane expectations, which is usually the case.
I don't think that influenced that delay, because that delay came probably a long time ago before they released any information.
You don't know. We don't have perfect information to know.
No, we don't. But I would imagine that. Like, I would imagine that the decision of delaying the raid was taken months ago.
Yeah.
Instead of just,
I hope,
a couple of weeks ago.
I hope. It
will make sense, because it probably requires a lot of people to do the thing.
Yeah. Like,
personally, and if they're really...
Yeah?
No, they're really reshuffling people, and like, that's something that they probably saw months ago. If it was gonna be released on Title Update 6, which came like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
The decision was probably taken way before that.
Yeah, maybe. We hope that the studios work at this level of coordination, but more often than not, they do not work at this level of coordination. Anyways, so yeah, it's bad.
Coordination.
What?
It's not coordination. It's just common sense.
You'll be surprised as how often common sense is not common at all. At any level of workplace environments.
As long as you have one person with a clear vision of things who's running the show, that's usually good enough.
Who knows? Who knows, man?
Things
so
to
many,
be coordinated.
Like, you see this often, so many stories of terrible management in the industry that is like insane. So you don't know. Ubisoft is kind of good at managing. Like, we haven't had any scandals about like bad management inside Ubisoft, but for the rest of the industry,
it's not a problem about management. You just need one guy taking the decisions, and that's it.
It's often
that's
not
all
enough.
The management you need.
Often not enough, because when you have teams of 300 to 500 people working in a game, one person is often not enough to push all that machinery together.
It's not to push it. It's just to take decisions.
You hope it's like that.
Just one guy who people are taking problems to, and he's saying yes, no, yes, do it, don't do it.
You hope that it's like that.
Anything else?
You hope that is like that, because that's the ideal of the games designer generally. But
no, it's not about game design. It's about any work environment. Like,
exactly,
you just need one boss.
you expect that there is people like that, but more often than, I'm telling you again, more often than not, is not the case, right? For example, God of War was one of the cases where the lead designer was this person who was taking all the decisions all the time around the floor, blah blah blah, super connected with the team, right? But there's so many examples with like decisions are not being taken or passed around, or leadership has been gone from projects, and then projects falls by the wayside. Like it's not uncommon as you think. That's my point.
Then you should fire the people. Just they're not good
Yeah,
managers, and that's it.
yeah. You should fire a bunch of CEOs and bad managers, but they're
No,
still
no,
in
no.
the company.
It's not about the CEOs. It's about the people who you put in charge of the project.
They're still on the project. They're still on the project. Bad managers. This
I would imagine that the CEOs of a big company are not in charge of like actually managing the project.
they're not, but they're involved in big decisions more often than not.
I wouldn't. I would be surprised if they really care about that.
They do not. They care about
They probably
profits.
have bigger problems than.
They care about profits. So when they it's a bigger decision, Lucho, and it's like years of bad management, bad treatment of workers inside the industry, bad coordination, bad decision taking, just making a profit. There's like a whole entire. We can do a whole entire episode about the terrible work conditions in the game industry and the tons and tons of abusement, tons and tons of bad management, and tons and tons of. There's like cases for all of the wazoo, right? The good games come.
It's
come
because
at
they
the
don't do
price
it
of
fast
sweat.
enough.
What?
Because they don't do it fast enough.
Okay, stop.
Game designers shouldn't sleep.
What?
They sleep too much.
They sleep too much. All right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Why not? Of course, Lucho.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you
They're not working hard enough.
They're not working. Oh my god. You're gonna kill me one of these days.
Why?
Those comments.
They're not.
On the contrary, all the problems like they overwork, overstand, and they even like are sent to clinics because they work too much on the game industry.
Life is hard, man.
Okay, sure.
The struggle is for everyone. Life is hard.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
life is not easy. You should
before
get
you
used to
give
it.
me a stroke, we're gonna finish this here.
Because life is not easy.
And that's it. It's gonna be a bunch of delays on the games. It's gonna be a hard end of the year for Ubisoft. Hopefully they'll recover for next year and
That'll be
actually
fine.
release better games. So I think slowly but surely the industry is learning that if you release garbage, you are no longer gonna sell by name only.
Oh, so will be fine. They're a big company. They have money.
Yeah, of course.
They can take the hit.
Yes. In the next docket of the news, Bethesda is now selling $100 annual subscription for Fallout 76.
Look, if Bethesda didn't fall apart with Fallout 26, no company is gonna fall apart.
I don't know, man. This is pretty bad. All right, so Fallout 76 is a game.
But the company is still fine.
I guess Fallout 76 is a game that still today's date does not work. It's full of bugs. It's been broken release after broken release, and now at the what? It's been a year for the game now. I think it's been a year of release.
Who keeps playing that game?
I have no idea who buys this stuff. Apparently, there's people who actually bought this stuff and give feedback on it.
I mean, no. Like, if you bought it, like, and they're offering support for the game, yeah. I mean, you should take the customer support and make your money count. That's for sure.
But the problem is that nothing works in Fallout 76, right? The fact,
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you paid for the game,
yeah,
you have all the right to give feedback and expect support and expect updates and blah blah blah.
yeah, that's right, that's true. But that's not what they're doing.
Yeah. But that's not the point. My only point
I
is, if you're the consumer, you have all the right to just ask for shit.
Yeah, if you buy it. But the problem is like, there is a record with Fallout 76 where they've been like promising stuff and breaking their own promises over and over again. when Fallout 76 was released, they promised to the public that they will never do microtransactions, gameplay changing microtransactions, and they did gameplay changing microtransactions. They promised private servers for words and NPCs, and they put all that in this annual subscription.
I mean, they deliver.
In a
You cannot
horrible,
say that they
way,
did
but they
not.
deliver. But the problem is like they did not deliver because the people that
I'm
bought.
losing the details, man.
The
You didn't read
problem-
the small print.
I know, but the problem is that they did not deliver because this update, this service is broken. Right? Private service
But
are not ready,
but it has the features, so
but they're not working. So it's like it's if I send you a blender and the blender does not work, and I tell you, look, I promised you a blender.
yeah, but the point is, there is in details. It depends. If you never promise me a working blender, I cannot say
Jesus.
anything.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, sure.
Ah,
You have to be careful. You cannot trust people.
This is the cherry on the ridiculousness of Bethesda when they
Who
just
cares about
put
that game anymore?
put 100 annual subscription for Fallout 76 in a game that doesn't work and in an update that does not work and is actually deleting the items for the players. So as soon as you get this, all the scrap things that you do to build guns inside the game gets deleted. Your private servers are not actually private. You have like people running around sometimes. And
Yeah.
like half of the stuff that is in the membership does not work. So there you have it. They are
Yeah.
actually Bethesda is now selling snake oil. To whom? I don't know.
But man, if people keep buying, that's the market.
All right, so we can sell snake oil. I'm gonna do a flash.
You can try.
You can try to sell snake oil.
Yeah, you can try. Is it morally correct? That's not the point. But you can try.
Yeah.
Those are completely different questions. Like
Now the
you can try
theory-
to scam people.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, but you can try.
You can try. And apparently Bethesda has no shame about it.
Yeah, that's a completely different point.
And the theory by now is like Fallout 76 is actually paying for all the future projects of Bethesda, and that's why they keep putting microtransactions and charging over and over for the game. That is
Sure.
that is built on old technology and is broken as balls.
I'm surprised there are still people playing the game.
Me too, right? At least Anthem have the decency to stop.
Is the game still working?
The game is still working. If any developer is working in the game, who knows?
No, but that's the service is still.
Anthem,
Is the service
yeah,
still available?
the server is still available. You can still open Anthem and go and play it if you want to.
Interesting.
Yeah. They have it's like everything. It's like they have promised an X number of time. They probably have rented servers for an X moment of time, and like they probably put Anthem to pasture slowly and as quietly as possible. That's my
That's the
theory.
best hope for them, just
Yeah.
to go quietly and
Into the night.
so no one remembers and
Yeah, exactly.
it just got lost on the annals of history. That's fine.
Yeah. But this
But-
thing, but Fallout
No.
76 keeps like piling on top of piling on top of piling on, and they don't care. Like at this point, I think they don't care anymore. They just want to make as much money from a broken product as they can. They want to
Yeah.
sell you as much snake oil once you buy the first snake oil. I think that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free market, so
It is indeed a free market, my friend. But that's the news. That's the ridiculous news of these weeks. And Leslie, in a more happy note, after all this craziness of the industry, because this industry is actually insane, finally, the gods have been kind upon us. The Japanese Onis has smiled in our luck. Monster Hunter War Iceborne has a PC official release date on January 9th of the 2020. We're gonna have or Iceborne.
If it doesn't get delayed.
Hopefully. It's
Because anything is possible.
announced. Anything is possible. It's officially announced. And the other question is, we hope that when this release comes into the PC, it comes with all the things that the console things have already. The update to the end game, which is the Wildlands, I think it is. Scavenging Lands, something lands. And is the end game, the new fashion end game of Monster Hunter War, and it's been having like a bunch of updates, and then
I mean, you have to be aware that may not happen. That they may roll the new stuff slowly.
yeah, we're hoping.
I'm not hoping that.
We're hoping that it comes with the 3 monsters that they released since release.
I don't think that will happen.
You think that they're gonna continue with the stagger release as they've been doing in Board?
Yeah, because I will assume that they were like the game is being released in January 9th because they've been working on the base game so far. Then they have to implement the new things and put them for the PC version. And I'm really not hoping for them to release all the new content for PC. I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen.
I hope it does. But
It's not gonna happen.
What can always dream, Lucho?
That's really naive.
But I can always dream, Lucho.
That's not gonna happen. I'm 100% sure.
Lucho, I can always dream.
You should know by now.
Upon a star.
We know how things have worked for Monster Hunter PC so far.
I know.
It's not gonna come with all the content that console has now. It's not gonna happen. We just know that it's not gonna happen. It's as clear as day. I don't know what you were thinking. What's gonna happen?
Let me dream, Lucho. Let me dream.
It's not. But I mean, honestly, were you thinking they were gonna release it like all the content?
Nah, I just want him to release the game. The game looks so good, man. I just want to play it. That's it. I don't care.
Yeah,
like at this point,
they will release the base expansion. Like all the extra content will come later.
Like at this point, I don't care. Like the new end game looks so much fun. The new places look so much fun. The new monster looks like a ton. The new feature, I don't care. Like at this point, I don't care. Like of course they've been like in the console version. I hope at least that there is like some sort of like fast patch, because they've been like polishing, especially in things like the gameplay and some features with the claw. They've been like kind of they already like implement feedback on those gameplay features in the console version. I hope they at least, like, I'm not expecting for the content, but I'm hoping at least those gameplay changes and adjustments, which are kind of easy to do because are like moving numbers.
I don't know how easy that is to do.
It's moving numbers because I'm talking about like certain claw attacks were too strong and cause you to do like repetitive stuff, and they adjust some claw interactions and combo stuff. Like I hope that's the first like patch that they come with the Iceborne. That's all I want. Like I don't care if the monsters get delayed, etc., etc. But that kind of like life quality changes, and I hope
those have a better chance. But I don't think that. Like, you shouldn't say that those are easy changes because they may not.
Yeah, they may not be easy. Like it depends on how they build it. But I'm hoping that that's the first batch of fixes that comes with the expansion.
It should.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see how the Japanese.
I don't put my hopes up.
I wonder what is the lack of love with the PCs and this series, man. Like the PC community loves this game.
Capcom's excuse is that they have no experience
doing PC releases.
Developing for PC.
Yeah. I thought that, yeah.
No, I mean it makes sense because from what I have heard, when you develop for consoles, you have a really well-defined set of
Tools, yeah.
like parameters to
Yeah,
develop
that's
for.
true. Yeah.
Well, making things work on PC is just kind of insane
Yeah, because you have so
because
many different
you have so
specs.
much hardware
Yeah.
and OS and Windows
Yeah,
is kind of
exactly.
crazy with everything.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
have to
true.
make it work for different Windows versions. You have to provide support for
All the problems and
yeah.
randomly like graphics card and that sort of stuff. And the PC is kind of a homogeneous at some point, like at some level. Like you have to like just worry about like from Xbox you have to worry about like three different types of specs, and from PlayStation two different types of specs.
Yeah,
And you're set.
but I'll assume that like the game developers like buy the access to development tools for the consoles,
Yeah, and exactly like
and that it has everything for them to work on.
yeah, exactly.
And they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
So
the parameters
it will make sense that if you don't have as an studio experience doing it for PC, it may take a while to iron out all the
kinks. Yeah, everybody thought
kinks.
that with the Monster Hunter World PC release, which was good, they will have like the experience enough to release Iceborne time, but apparently not.
What I would say, yeah, one development cycle is probably not enough experience, you know?
Well, yeah, I will agree with you in that. Yeah, I will absolutely agree with you.
They make it work once.
Yeah. I'm hoping for the Monster Hunter World 2. I hope the release is going to be like uniform at that point with like two
Hopefully.
release cycles on the back. You never know. But anyway, this is good news. Finally, we're going to have a Iceborne expansion. Hopefully no more delays.
So far.
Yeah, hopefully no more delays because it was supposed to come in at the end of November. That was
they never said that. They only said winter.
Yeah, but that was the first leak speculation that it was coming at the end of November.
Yeah, but never follow speculations. That's a mistake.
I'm just stating the facts.
That's not that's the opposite of a fact.
Yeah, that was the
fact.
It's
a speculation.
It was a leak speculation in the news.
No. A speculation is not a fact.
It was a fact
it's
that
the opposite of a fact.
The fact is not. The fact is that there wasn't a speculation. The fact is that there wasn't a speculation. The fact is not a speculation. The fact is that there wasn't a speculation reported.
No, never follow speculations. The only thing that they mentioned was winter. And if it comes out in January, it's still gonna come out in winter. So.
Yeah, technically it's still winter. That you're right. The second week of January.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah. And it's gonna come with texture part of 4K resolution. Wow.
Yeah, they were apparently working on a lot of like PC specific.
Yeah, technology. That's very interesting. Yep. Maybe that's why they took a little bit longer. Because when it come into PC, it had like super basic technology, like almost port-like, right? If you remember when
it is a port.
Yeah, it still feels like very port-like, and the modders have been like tinkering with it to make it better in terms of like what can you run it with certain specifications.
Like all the static changes, I don't care that much. They say that they also did some changes to the controls, to the mouse and keyboard controls.
Ooh.
Those I'm curious about.
To
see what they did.
In terms of maybe interfaces or that sort of stuff? Or
yeah.
To make it feel more to make it feel like the interface is serving more PC like that console.
Not only that, there is still like some of the camera movement with mouse and like the mouse speed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In the base game is still kind of janky. It works. You can make it work.
Yeah.
And you can get used to a game.
Yeah, but it still feels
like
it's
still janky.
It's not serving.
It doesn't feel fluid and like super snappy, like a sort of just.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's built. It's built for it. Like that's the thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm really looking for. The 4K and sure, that's cool, but But now I'm more interested in controls. That
Hopefully they do better. Anyways, we're very happy about it.
yeah,
We want this
we're
game.
waiting.
We want this game now.
Yes, we do.
We were starting to replay Monster Hunter World with friends, so
It's so good.
so good.
It's so good. Those fights are so good.
Please refer to our four episodes podcast about Monster Hunter World
So freaking good.
and that's it for the news of this week.
Yeah. Let's
So we
go
now
to the main.
we now move on to a deep dive. And with all our deep dives, we have our little disclaimer at the beginning. The discussion here is based on our own opinions and our own in-game experience.
Yep.
Everything we say here is our opinions and our likes and our feelings and our nice things or bad things. And we do a little bit of research, but we're not aiming to be game journalists or anything of the sorts. So yeah, with that said, our deep dive.
With our deep dive this week is, as per usual, we put forward our own
ideas, thoughts,
recommendations and ideas to improve the Borderlands. In this case, the Borderlands 3 experience, to be honest, because the previous games are legacy games now, if you want to call them that.
That is true.
Yeah, so we're gonna mainly be talking about how would we improve Borderlands 3?
How we make it a better experience, a better game, a better everything. So our first docket is about the Calypso twins.
Yeah, the something that we mentioned is that they feel super underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And that that people complain about them as villains because they feel kind of just annoying brats.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something there that could be explored. That
I think they have interesting. I think no, I'm gonna say they have interesting story backgrounds, but it's not properly explored. I think the point is like
the thing is I don't think they have interesting backgrounds. I think they have small like strokes and small hints of something that has the potential to be interesting.
So you don't think that nobody thought like, oh yeah, the fact that they're children of the first Vault Hunter and the mom died, and like I'm gonna write a small notes here.
Yeah, but maybe one guy who wrote that for audience so cool. But you can see that
room by the brooms.
Yeah. No, like a low-level like character designer or something like that.
Yeah.
No, but like you can see the strokes of like, yeah.
Yeah, you can see the potential. You can see the potential of like, oh, what happened if like they actually if we know people who know them when they went out of the planet for the dead, and they're like they didn't know how the rest of the savage wild world work, and maybe you can like meet a kind of like a crazy mentor person who made them who totally transform in how they end up, right? Because the story as we theorize so far is like they grew up with their dad. Their mom died when they were little kids, like around 5 or 6, I would say, right? And they have all these problems with their powers, how to control them, and how to keep, especially with the little brother, how to keep him alive, because he depended of the life force and the dependence, and basically that the Tyrene is a vampire, right? That she depends of like she's kind of a leech because she depends of a life of the life of others, and how they struggle with that. And then when they run away from their dad because they want to keep them there in Necrotafeo, right? They wouldn't probably be like adults already as we know them. They'd probably be like teenage, like rebellious teenage. And in those, yes.
You know what I was thinking? Like there is this side mission where we learn a little bit of Angel and
Yeah,
Handsome Jack
yeah.
in Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
We have one side mission for that.
yeah, when they tell you the small story about
Yeah,
where all these tragedies started. Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like the Calypso twins would benefit a lot, like really a lot of like small missions like that, where you like for example, once you reach the last ball mm, where the first ball hunter was leaving.
Necrotophagia?
Yeah,
You get,
Necrotophagia.
yeah.
It would be pretty cool to have like a small mission, like similar to that, where you get to like see little pieces of of their childhood.
Yeah, and it's funny because like
It is
they're
there. It's kind of there, but
yeah, exactly, and it's funny because their story are parallel to one another with the angel and the calypso. The difference is like uh, uh Tychon de Leon is a much more sane person air quote sane person that Handsome Jack was, because Handsome Jack went totally banana cuckoo after his wife died, and Typhon de Leon took it more in stride, right? Took it more like, oh, I have to take care of my kids as kids, but the similarities are there, right? They both try to build cages for their kids and their powers and try to isolate them,
yeah,
and in the case of Handsome Jack, he ends up abusing for his thirst of revenge. He ends up abusing his own daughter. In the case of Tychon de Leon, he tried to keep them on the planet against their own will.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
So
there is like it just all I'm saying is that the setting is there.
yeah,
There is already a mission that explores something like that for one of our previous villains.
yeah.
Why didn't they do it for these ones?
I don't know, and they were the main villains, man.
I know,
Like,
it's
are
just
they
like
still in love with Handsome Jack?
I get it. He was cool, but
Yeah, he was like the
like
best
you need to
villain
develop
of
your current
history.
villains.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And in the other way to do is like meeting their mentor after, because this happens a
That'll
lot
be
of
cool.
this happens a lot in childhood, when you're developing in teenagers, right? When you are rebelling against your fathers, because against your father's figures or your parent figures, because they're like this idea of stability and readiness, and you have to be good and you have not to take risk, etc., etc. When you go out to the world as a teenage development, going into development as an adult, you tend up to being attached to the contrary of that. Somebody who's offering you like liberty, or somebody who is offering you like somebody who's letting you do whatever you want, but is still supporting you, right? You find that other father figure or parent figure outside to contrast what you have and what you're running away, right? So it'd be like very interesting if we know that mentor for them when before they get to the end game, to the Calypso, which maybe was like a crazy children of the world dude, or a crazy old man or something like that actually give them those ideas of like starting a cult, and kind of tell them like how the real world actually worked, because they were like with their father isolating that planet all those years, right? That was the other avenue to like take
That's
that storyline
that's
and exploring those.
that's interesting. Although I would argue that like they seem to me exactly the opposite to that they lacked a mentor. They just seem to like they stop emotionally developing and they're still just
Kids.
kids,
That could be,
and
yeah,
that
that
they
could be
lack like
interesting.
guidance. So that's how I see them.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying, that I find it more interesting to see that point where the development stop,
All right.
their emotional development, because that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels to me. They just feel like brats to me, like just I know, in like 8-year-olds
All right,
yelling at
fair
you for
enough. Yeah,
attention.
that could be the case, that they just like got into the position they got just for being sirens.
Yeah, and they lack like the real like good mentoring And
Yeah,
even Typhon alludes to that in some of the dialogue. Like he says, "Yeah, like I was not a good parent or something."
yeah, he was not a good dad.
And
Yeah,
he said that he was not able to provide like good guidance for them.
yeah,
And he was saying, "Yeah, then all of this is my fault because of that."
yeah. But they should have like those explorations, right? They should show you
Yeah, no,
like
definitely.
to make it like super tragic because
It
emotionally,
doesn't have to be super tragic.
well,
It just has to
to
be
make it more
interesting.
to make it more clearly that we are fighting against an overpowered pair of 8-year-olds who don't know what they're doing,
Yeah,
right? They just like chasing this goal to find meaning of their life because they're like they have all this power and they don't know what to do with, but besides like chase more power.
yeah, I agree. It just, yeah, I guess my point with this is just like you see like the little strokes,
Hints, yeah.
hints, and they don't get them.
Yeah, and like to the point, Handsome Jack got even his own game. They developed that villain so much that if you see the pre-sequel, it's almost like the backstory of Handsome Jack before he became evil.
It is. It is
Right?
not almost. It is
It
the.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
but I fear that the Calypso twins are not gonna get anything like that,
No,
just
no.
because people don't like them.
Yeah, yeah. But is Borderlands developer own fault because they didn't show you what was the point. Even if like you can make villains like that, you
Yeah,
can make villains like they're just overpowered kids which are forced their own desires onto others and they don't care about anything, right? They just want to make it a real and that's it. And that could be interesting as a villain, right?
it could. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you have like quite literally an innocent brat, right? And
Yep.
it could be like introspective or and that sort of stuff if you treat it well. But definitely they miss the mark with these villains. They should have put like a little bit more oomph, a little bit more
Yeah.
glances that we see onto it, right?
Yeah. But that's the frustrating part, that they're not
Yeah.
just empty characters. What it's frustrating is that they
Yeah.
seem to have something, they just never develop it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the part with his brother who's been a leech all his time. He's been serving his sister, gets her own powers. Like if you have a little bit more of development of that side, it will be more interesting. The dynamic happens what it happened. If he's cliche or not, he betrays his sister or not, that's irrelevant. I mean that
Yeah.
there are opportunity there for character development
For storytelling, yeah.
for storytelling. Yeah, that it was not taken advantage of.
I agree.
But yeah, the Calypsos deserve better.
They do. I feel like they have potential.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
deserve
wasted
better.
potential.
They deserve better as characters. I think that's her point. That's her
Yeah.
point. They deserve better as characters, even if they're sirens, which Lucho hates.
It's just kind of annoying. Like I also want just. I think that's another reason why. Like I would even argue that's another reason for Handsome Jack being interesting, is because he was not a siren.
He was just a dude.
He was just a dude. He was using sirens.
Yeah, he
But
had
the guy itself was
Yeah.
just a guy.
Yeah, and that was the interesting thing. He actually enslaved one of the most powerful beings on the universe, supposedly, right? And that's meaty. That's meaty. That just by their own will they get that level of power without themselves having any natural power of being like naturally dotted. Because if you see the backstory of Handsome Jack, he used to be like a programmer.
He was a really smart and
He was a
cunning
really
guy.
smart programmer, but he was
No, but like on the pre-sequel,
yeah.
like the story, like he was so smart and what he was trying to
Yeah.
accomplish. He had all these schemes on his head. It was
Yeah.
interesting. It was
It was
smart.
interesting. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like the more interesting villains is the one that they just get power by their own cleverness.
Yeah.
There we go. But still, I think the Calypso brothers. I think our point is the Calypso brothers deserve better.
Yeah, and they have the potential.
Yeah. All right. Our next point on the docket is make every strategy viable from the get-go on the ball hunters, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That would be ideal.
Yes.
I don't think that's possible.
Why not? You have all right.
Because
Let's get
because
what.
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think you can, with a small group of people, which is a development team,
Yeah. Testing.
you can
team.
test out
Yeah.
all the things in all the ways that people are gonna do it.
But
And you may develop something that you think is balanced on your testing,
yeah.
but maybe someone out there is gonna find out a thing that just completely breaks everything and it's OP, and then people say, "Oh, this is not balanced."
All right, I'm gonna say yes, but the interesting part of all right, I'm gonna tell you this. The interesting part of this is like in previous games, the skill character that you get from the Vault Hunters wasn't that impactful, right? They give you access to the abilities, but the main thing in the old Borderlands games was the guns, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yes.
but it was there was a few ways to play each ball hunter efficiently.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Yes.
So there was like one way to play each one of them, and that was it. There is no more.
All right.
Hero
Yes.
shooting for a higher, more complex goal,
Yeah.
which is
So
half.
that's good. They actually like expand on that system, which
Yeah.
is the reason why I like Borderlands 3 more than the old Borderlands, because
Yeah.
they scratch that RPG build thing that I like, right? But
Completely.
it was clear that every Ball Hunter has kind of like my problem is like they have base builds based on their three trees on the trees abilities that they have,
Yeah.
and that's what you're testing, right? That's the limitations in when where you can make it balanced, right? If you test all those three trees or those three all the build intentions that you have for the characters, and it's easy to see, right? When you open one of these trees, like, oh, so Flak is going invisible and
Yeah.
gets crit damage.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the other
Like you
tree
can
is like,
see the design intention and the way that
Exactly.
the ability trees are
So
put together and the kind of things that they do.
my
Yeah.
point is like, as a base, you can like make the clearly decided intention viable all the time, but it didn't happen in the
But
get-go
that's
of
no.
Borderlands 3.
But that's exactly my point. Like, you can make the game. You can look at the tree of the. You can look at the ability trees that you develop.
Yeah.
You look at your item. You said in your internal testing. You
Yes.
see, it seems balanced to us. For the testing that we made, it is balanced. And what I'm saying is that there is always people like us who are gonna just put crazy stuff together and are gonna
Right.
break everything.
Yeah, but I think they can push that. They can push that, and recently, like my point is it is possible. It is possible to get when a get go you have like a baseline. I'm not saying that
I don't
everything
think
is
so.
gonna be tested, every combination, because that's impossible. That's clearly impossible. There's too many combination these sort of systems. But my point is like you can cover certain baselines, and I'm gonna make you an example with Mouse, right? With Mouse is clearly what the three intentionalities are: the mech, the grenades, and infinite bullets.
Sure.
You don't want to reload. Those are the three intentionalities of Mouse. The only of those three, which is it makes can go to the end game without a struggle, is the grenade two. But the other two are not variable at all, are complements, right? But if you go into testing thinking like, all right, what happened if I just want to play with the mech in the highest level of difficulty that I have? And I test that and I see that it's lacking damage or resistance, whatever. I tell the developers, look, this is not as viable as you thought.
So,
Buff it a bit,
so what you're implying is that they didn't test that.
They didn't test everything. Yeah.
I don't
everything clearly, because now they're modifying exactly that. Exactly they're like small intentionalities, and you're seeing it with the patches. The pet for
no,
flag.
I know, but like
Yeah.
I really have a hard time I'm pretty sure they thought it was a balanced enough game at launch.
Yeah.
Like I honest to God believe that they thought that, and that they tested things like that, and like one guy put all the points in the mecha and said, "Yeah, this is fun. It can kill shit."
But did he go to Trouble Hunter Mode Mayhem 3?
You can, and you can do it. No, but you can. That's the point. Like you can do it. It is the problem is that it's not as efficient, but you can still clear the content. You can do it. You can clear the content with
Can
mouse.
you clear the content with the flag pet
Yeah.
build in Trouble Hunter Mode Mayhem 3?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is not melting everything as explosions builds,
Yeah.
because those are two different things.
Yeah. You know what? But now I think now it's a little bit possible. There are a lot of companies that have this game has started to acquire this tendency to hire testers which are professional gamers in some way, shape, or other. And I'm telling you, like, Magic the Gathering is like one of the examples. And when they actually have a department dedicated to testing stuff, right? And those
Probably
people,
most of these game developers companies also have.
of course, they have Q&A, right? That's the point. They have departments, but those departments are comprised of pro players, right? Of actually competitive gamers or people who wants to crack this code, right? And that's what a lot of other companies are starting to do, right? I know that it's a recent trend.
Okay, and still Magic the Gathering comes from time to time with broken stuff.
Yeah, they have to ban stuff instead.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't work. Like no matter what.
But at least they're doing the effort.
But it still doesn't work. Like your point became, yeah, they hire pro players and they try their best.
Yes.
Still, the game comes out broken. That was the conclusion. You've been complaining about one card that they were gonna ban in Magic.
Yeah, yes, that is true.
So no matter all the testing that they did,
but it was clear. It was
still
clear.
wasn't balanced.
Like, how did they miss this? Like it was super clear that it was broken.
I don't know. Like,
all right,
it is not that clear. That's the point. Like, it is just a thing about numbers. Like once you have a lot of people doing stuff,
yeah,
things become clear. If you have like 200 people testing, is not enough people.
Okay, I see your point. I see your point.
And like people have this idea that all games were balanced, and they were not. Like Diablo 2 was not a balanced game at all.
Diablo 3 in release, there was like a bunch of it's still like a game that is still balanced today.
But even that, like people put in a pedestal, like a high pedestal, Diablo 2.
Yeah.
That game is super unbalanced.
All right.
Like there is like one build that trumps all.
So so then my question will change to: is this a way to get closer to like releasing something kind of like balanced?
The point is that I don't think it's possible to release something balanced. I think maybe possible to arrive to something more or less balanced eventually.
So you think it's possible to release something like kind of balanced?
To release it?
Yeah,
like maybe kind of.
So what will you do then for trying to like solve this problem? A beta? An extensive beta maybe?
I mean, but an extensive beta is like Warframe, you know? That's an extensive beta. They've been beta for years now.
7 years beta.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, you know, the Warframe mentality. Like they do stuff as well as they can.
Yes.
They release it and they are well aware that things are gonna be broke when they release them at some up to some degree.
Yes, that's true.
Like they really try to polish the stuff as much as they can, but like
absolutely,
it's like like going from like 50 testers to millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people playing. Yeah, they're gonna find things that we couldn't catch.
So you prefer that to fix this problem, you prefer that the feedback loop is quicker.
Yeah,
that way you arrive to balance much quicker, and then and you know, because the detriment of this is like people invest time in broken strategies, and then they get like banned down to the ground, and in that's always a feels bad. Like
that
like
always
yeah
that always feels bad. I agree.
yeah
But the thing is that you have to approach these things with a different mentality. You know, like instead of thinking
yeah
like, oh, I put all this time into this build and now it's completely nerfed to the ground.
yeah
Feels bad, man. Instead of
Yeah.
that, it's like, no, like this is an opportunity for me to revisit the game, re-engage with the systems, and trying to figure out something new.
All right.
It's just they give you a new. It's. I'm gonna give you an example. Is the division example for me? So they have this thing where I had a build full stack with damage to elites.
Yes.
That cannot be stacked anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, to some point it feels bad. They're like, oh yeah, now this doesn't work. I have to.
And I
I invest the time and effort and emotions.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is like, no. So now the thing is, oh, I can re-engage with the game to see which perks do I want to put in my things to explore the new stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna enjoy it for maybe another couple of weeks, and I'm gonna arrive to something.
Yeah.
And it may change. So the thing is, if you want to have this game as services
model
thing, you need to change stuff. You cannot keep doing like if you have a perfectly balanced quote unquote game.
Yeah.
That never changes. Then once you arrive to the thing at the end, what do you pursue with your perfect build?
Challenging content.
Yeah, but if it is the perfect build,
okay.
that's the point. It's
you pursue another build, right? That's like you go and explore another avenue. Like what you're asking is like what happened when you get to that final point, right?
Yeah.
You go for another build, right? But that's at least what I do. Like if I arrive to the final point, I'm like, cool, now I have this on my pocket whenever I needed to do X or Y or Z. So for example, like the shotgun build that I was trying to do for the challenge, arrived to a point where I was close but not quite close enough to farm high level content. So I have to change to another build that is already working, that's already finalized, quote unquote, to farm for that other build that I'm building, right? So and then it becomes a variety thing, and it becomes a situational thing. So for certain missions and stuff, I'm gonna use this other build because it's better.
I know what you mean, and it's a valid point. Although I really don't mind the keep changing stuff approach to
I think my point is like, all right, you can kind of get close to from the get-go balance, but it's clear that it's difficult or almost impossible to get a perfect balanced release. That is true. I will give you that. But if you close these like feedback loops and have quicker responses, you minimize that feel bad when people invest into stuff, right? And that backlash of change when too much time has been invested into the game. I think that's the thing.
So
to get to that balance point the quickest possible route. Right?
Fair enough. Do you think that balanced game exists?
That a balanced game exists? Like a true balanced game exists?
Yeah.
I will argue that Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a perfect balanced game of pure skill.
Never played. Right?
But
like if it is a pure skill game, that's out of the loop.
Yeah. You
But
mean
no,
into the construction? A perfect balance game does exist into the like RPG looter
yeah, or
genre.
RPG genre. Like it doesn't have to be.
Um, oof, that's a difficult question.
It is. That's what I was thinking. Like
I will argue that The Witcher 3 gets there for the systems that it has. It doesn't have anything like super overpowered, but it has a baseline in combat, which is kind of different. But you can pursue any. You can be like a magician, pure igni, or you can be like only sword fighting, and
but
you can have
it
those
it, pro-
avenues.
it probably has one OP build, no?
Not that I'm aware. It's more
I don't
about
know.
playstyle. It's more about playstyle. Like at the end of the day, there's not like a super efficient thing to do in The Witcher. It's more about like what playstyle do you want to, because everything is stronger in their own thing, right? And you end up using kind of like almost all the parts of the build. So I'll give you an example. Generally, in The Witcher, you fight with two swords, right? And the way that you make your abilities, you either get better at fighting with swords or you get better at fighting with ignis, and ignis are like magic spells, right?
Yeah,
But there's some fights when you have to use the ignis to do certain things against. Even if you're like the best sword fighting, that's not enough because you need parts of the other system to actually do certain things into the game, right? And vice versa. If you are very good at magic, there's certain enemies that are not going to be there, and then you have to use your sword skills to defeat that enemy, right? So that keeping balance. Even if you go to an extreme, you still need a little bit of the other system to succeed, and vice versa, right? That makes it kind of a balance. But I will argue that The Witcher is
but
not the
that's
perfect example because he has little variables. Even if he has like a lot of build diversity, he has smaller variables that the generally the looter shooter. The looter shooter has like three trees into four characters and has like a more explosion of diversity, which is make it like if you introduce more variables into the system, is more difficult to balance, right? So
yes, of
that would be
course.
my example inside the RPG genre because The Witcher 3 is a proper RPG game, right? But when you are escalating, if you put in more and more variables, is clearly more difficult to balance. It's clearly more
Yeah, it's
difficult to
just
get there.
like the way that you describe it is like saying Batman Arkham Asylum is a balance game. Yeah, sure, because there is one Batman with one way of playing,
Yeah, exactly.
and you can change the gadgets that you use a little bit.
Yeah, it's technically inside the RPG, and technically you take decisions to make a build
Yeah, but
at the end.
it's like a super constrained thing. Like
Yeah, that's my example. So that's what I'm putting you like. There is, there
but that
is,
doesn't feel.
but of course it
That's
makes
not the spirit
yeah. So
of what we were talking.
inside the big insanity thing, I think the one that is closer at this point after years and years of iteration is Diablo 3, and it's closer, right? And
Yeah,
to this day, recently, two patches ago, there was broken things inside the game.
yeah, of course. There are always gonna be broken things.
Yeah, there are more efficient things, but that is the one that's getting closer to everything be viable. It's getting closer and closer and closer and closer, right? Where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only where they already like tone down necromancers, and they kind of like making that
Uh,
everything kind of clears
yeah.
the same GR, and like the majority of builds are viable. But we are in this point where, for example, for monk, there's only one class that gets to the highest level, only one build that gets to the higher level GRs, right? And nobody knows how to solve that because they have to put so much they have to put so much buffs into the class that they don't know if they're gonna like broke it. And the funny thing is like they buff some stuff this side to make all the build viable and end up making the other build stronger,
Yeah.
so they didn't solve
Yeah,
the problem. Right.
it is always like that.
Yeah,
It's kind of a infinitely chasing the tail of
yeah, of the
the
dragon.
problem.
Yeah. So I will argue that Diablo is the closest. The others closest, I will say, Division 2. Division 2 right now had
Ah,
had a plethora of things that were viable.
yeah, but I wouldn't call it balanced.
Yeah. What
You, you
other
know
example?
you know which one would I call balance?
Yes.
Monster Hunter. The problem is that it has like the skill component of the game,
Yeah.
like the pure mechanical skill,
Yeah.
is larger than for these other games.
Yes. Yes. I will say yes.
So you can overcome
But
the underpower
underpowered stuff. Yeah. If you play
if you're
properly.
if you
Yeah.
get good enough.
I was thinking, for example, light bowgun doesn't have a place into high end level content as a damage dealer, but it has a place as a
But
support dealer.
yeah, not as a damage dealer,
Yeah.
but
But it has
still,
a
if you go
place
solo with the right build for the
for the
light
light
bow
bowgun.
gun,
Can you do it?
you
Can
can
you kill?
kill everything. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
it is not a super weapon. Like you can still clear. Like if you go
Because
solo, you
everything that
can.
I've heard is like the Lightbug has a bunch of problems in the DPS department, like actually trying to kill like high level monsters.
Yeah, it's not gonna be. Like, you have to be take with a grain of salt what people say.
Yeah.
Like people say, yeah,
Yeah.
it has problems. It's just sure it doesn't kill them as fast as a heavy bowgun or
Yeah,
as
yeah.
fast as a greatsword.
Or also
Sure,
a
it's not,
bow. Yeah.
but you can kill it.
But
Like
yeah, yeah.
you can.
I was thinking the other examples like Insect Glaive. Everybody complains that the Insect Glaive, but you can go and kill Arch Temper monsters by yourself with the Insect Glaive.
Yeah, and you can do it with light bowgun as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see your point. No, that's very interesting. Yeah, yes,
the,
because
the, the problem.
they put the system, they put the skill first. More important than like how you
Yeah,
interact with the monster is more important than what you can do as an ability.
yeah. The problem is that the weight and the knowledge of the game is larger than for these other
Yeah.
games.
So maybe that's what you should chase. That the skill of the
But
player be
maybe
more
if you
important than
increase, yeah, like the
yeah
skill, the purely
skill dependent
mechanical
thing.
skill of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, that's what I've been realizing with Destiny in the higher level content. When your damage is not like one shot in everything, like it's more important that you know where to stand, how to use your cover, when to run away from monsters. Because if you don't do that properly, you get like one shotted and you cannot do those activities properly. And if you don't plan properly, that's what I'm finding when I'm starting to explore like the higher content, like higher difficulty content in Destiny 2. That it tends to go that way. Like it helps you that you have good gear and that sort of stuff, but like it's more important knowing how
What are you
to
calling
work.
higher difficulty content?
Like I'm talking about strikes of 980 and like for example the rate with the constants with the content with the contents contest modifier
Mm.
and that sort of like high level activities when you have like a bunch of champions and things hit you really hard all the time, so you have to like try to evade things because generally like in Destiny you just go and tank half of the things that are hitting you. You don't care. Like more so as a titan, you just go and punch whatever is trying to kill you in the face and you don't care, right?
Yeah,
But in the higher level, like if you try to do that, you just get like what absolutely like one shot destroyed in seconds. Like so you have to be more aware of where you're standing, where are the cooldowns or your abilities, so they can help you survive. So maybe if you go for that route of like skill, and then you see it too in some challenges difficulty of the Division 2, you start getting into heroics, invaded
yeah.
heroics.
When you're doing heroics, you cannot jollo the missions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
like anything up to challenge, you can jollo the missions.
Yeah.
Actually, just
Yes.
run to the face of the enemy,
Yeah.
shoot them in the face,
You don't care.
roll,
Yeah.
just jollo it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So yeah. So if you go to those points, maybe that's what you should be chasing then.
But okay, maybe a point is that the skill component
Yeah.
should trickle down to all the game, not only the latest part of the game. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, that the skill that the builds alone should not carry you 100% of the time.
Yeah, that you shouldn't be able to kill stuff with math, which is the game that I like.
Yes, but think about it. How do you control in which places is this viable? Because if I need to farm stuff, I would like to kill stuff with just math and not think about it, right? If I'm going to a
But
challenge
sure, but you cannot
activity,
do that in Monster Hunter. Like,
yeah,
can you
you can. Yes,
farm without thinking?
yes, you can farm with a thing. You can use a Palico build and just AFK. Not the actual Arc Temper monsters, but the majority of the content.
Yeah, but just stop. Like, at some point, you stop farming all the non-elder dragons.
Yeah, but you can. I think those AFK farms takes you. Like, I'm talking about like actually AFK farms, actually like killing people with just like math. It takes you so far till like you can actually farm elder dragons. No,
Yeah,
none of the temper versions. And
but
the temper
sure.
normal monsters you can still farm them with this, right?
But,
But for
but
example,
I'm pretty sure for the Palico build, you still have to keep it alive and you still have to evade the attack because the monster is still gonna chase you.
have you seen like the thing? The
Yeah.
funny part of the Palico build is like you just sit there and heal. Press a button for healing once in a while.
Yeah, but the monster will still attack you and you still have to run around the arena.
Not necessarily, because your so tanking has so much regeneration that the monster is not dealing you any damage, and he becomes more absurd in Iceborne. You haven't seen this?
Not for elder dragons.
Yes, I've seen this for elder dragons, even for temper versions, temper versions of normal monsters. Like go and find the.
Out healing all the damage?
Yes. You got so much regeneration that they hit you and then you regenerate instantly. You just have to heal once in a while to keep your pets alive. That's it.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Go look for like Palico pet builds. You will find them. But yeah, anyways. That is the thing about balance, right? It's difficult to get there.
Yeah, I don't think it exists then.
It's difficult to get there, but you can like have strong foundations for it.
No.
No, no. I think the point at the end was like you have to have a quicker feedback loop to get to that point faster.
That's probably the only thing that you can do.
Yeah. Anyway, mechanics to improve boss fights.
Yeah. Any ideas?
Yeah, probably have it like more stage or stuff to do that just shoot the monster. Right? I think that's the thing, right?
Like what?
Like, I don't know, at some point the monster becomes like basic stuff. Like at some point the monster becomes invertible, so you have to go and activate something.
People hate that.
Really?
Invincibility phases?
That you have to do something else.
Yeah, but the monster is invisible. It's invincible.
Yeah, but it's not like
people hate that.
Oh, okay.
People hate not being able to damage a monster.
But if you want a mechanic fight, then how will you do it? Even if you're not banning, even if you're hitting the monster, maybe not do it. Maybe not make him invincible. Maybe make him like healing very fast or something like that.
I don't know. I'm just telling you. People hate invincibility phases.
But there is all over. Like if you like, there is. But
what?
Yeah. But
people hate it.
I know, but that's generally what they do. That's just generally what. If you want a mechanic like a diverse mechanic boss fight, you generally make either the boss like go away or hide or make him invertible to go and do something else to help you with the fight.
No, you can have kill conditions on the fights.
For example,
I don't know. Shoot balls in a certain order in a room or something like that, and if you don't do it fast enough, you just die.
Okay, so you're talking about like wipe mechanics almost.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that would make it interesting. Yeah, yeah. You have to, or maybe you have to go and find certain small enemies like science or something like that, and then go back to the boss
Yeah,
or something like that, like complementary. We still haven't seen like the rate like for
we
this.
still haven't, and
Yeah,
that's that. Yeah, we should.
maybe there the boss fight, but the majority of boss fight of Borderlands are pretty like get to the boss, shoot it till he's dead.
Yeah, they are, and that's what I'm asking you. What kind of things would you put to the bosses so that they are?
All right, let's think about some of the bosses. For example, for the mouthpiece, which is the first boss.
I think Mouthpiece is the perfect first boss because it has the little floor mechanic thing that you have to move around and
All right, then let's talk about the other one, which is Kilovolt,
who's Kilo?
the one that you go to kill for Moxie in the city, the one that gives you the
Yes.
electric pistol. He has a shield and he becomes like electrified, and he has the floorboards being electrified.
Yes.
Yes, one interesting
Yeah.
one. For example, in that fight, it would be interesting if you go and destroy the generators from him to actually get to kill him.
So so shooting specific places of the guy.
Yeah, the environment.
Of the environment.
None of the fight has this, right? All of the
No.
fights you all just have. For example, with the most interesting fight is the if of course if you don't have like the damage to just one shot him, but the most interesting fight is the one with the 9000, the thingy 9000 against Pain and Terror,
Yeah, because
when they have like weak points that you can like explode, and he stopped doing certain attacks.
yeah.
That is very interesting because that if you don't have the damage to actually like absolutely
Yeah, you have to focus the
yeah, for example, the arms he stopped doing the knife attack.
yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of stuff. That fight, when you don't have all the damage, it becomes like important for you to shoot certain parts of the monster, which is good.
So do you think they should you should never have the ability to like melt a boss?
I think that's the point, right? Absolutely built a boss.
So would you give, like, talking to a current state of Borderlands 3, would you give the bosses more health? Would you give them damage caps?
Well, apparently they don't like invulnerability phases, so just give it like regen for those mechanics to enforce those mechanics.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can still hit,
okay.
like if you have in certain difficulties, if you have the enough damage, you can melt them through the region, right? But when you are scaling, those mechanics become more important.
But then okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But you still, okay, I have a question in
All
that
right.
case. Because you still want to encourage your players
Yeah.
to play the most difficult content.
Correct. And if those more difficult,
if it is too hard, like, people will find the difficulty in between, where you can just melt the boss and get good enough rewards. You know what I mean?
yeah, but what you do is like you have, yeah, what you want is to encourage the player that the learning
To engage with the mechanic. That's
the
what you want.
learning the mechanic properly will make the kill faster.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, that's the point, right? So
That's the point.
If you try to get to those points, you're gonna take longer at some point, right?
Yeah, but the point is, since we have this spectrum of difficulty, like, at some point, like, if I go to any boss in normal difficulty,
Yeah,
I'll just melt it.
Yeah, you just melt it. But the rewards are not gonna be that good.
But the rewards are not so good.
Yeah.
So, and my point is, what if people like, how do you avoid people like finding that middle point where you
Because-
can do a boss kill in 1 minute? Maybe the rewards are not the best things.
Yeah, you have to
But you
tune
can
it.
kill it so fast that it's more efficient.
You have to tune it, right? You have to tune it where
Yeah.
the time invested with the learning the mechanics and the time invested learning the mechanics and the damage that you're dealing gives you enough reward where is worth it. Gives you the best reward
Yeah.
where it's worth it, right?
Exactly.
Those are the things that you have to tune when you're doing it.
Yeah,
when
and
you're
that's
tidying the bosses to those mechanics.
yeah, and that's what I was thinking, that like wipe mechanics are probably
Better?
the easiest thing to, not better, but probably the easiest one to balance, because you have to engage with the mechanic
No matter what. All right.
no matter what.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe they're not the best solution, but they're probably one that is the easiest to tune around. Because if it is a wipe mechanic, you have to do it.
Yeah. But in that
Like-
case, you have to be like super rewarding when you're doing this, right? Because wiping is such a harsh punishment for not engaging with it, right?
Yeah, but if you think, okay, yeah, they should be rewarding, but
No, they should be very rewarding. So, like, it is worth for you to learn the mechanic.
what would it be? That's the problem. If it is too much rewarding, then it's too much, you know?
It's too much. It's too much.
No,
it's a thing about, of course, it's a thing about balancing how much the wipe mechanic is interesting, but I won't do for everything. I won't do it for everything.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it for all the bosses,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I will do regen for some, like for the middle bosses, like Killabolt and those sort of bosses. But
Yeah.
for the big bosses, like the ball hunters, the big, like the lady which you killed, the frozen lady, what is the name? Her name?
maybe.
Amelia. Yeah, for Amelia. And the big setup bosses, not only the vault, but the big setup bosses.
Yeah, like the big story bosses and the bald
Yeah.
monsters.
Yeah, for those, I will do the wipe mechanic for sure.
Okay, yeah.
And you can do
I
it.
can see that.
And you can do it in ways that is not bullshit, like Destiny. That you forgot to kill this, and then everybody explodes. I feel like.
I mean, that's
feel
a wipe
like-
mechanic.
I feel no.
Not bullshit.
I mean, not to make it feel like bullshit, right? Because there's a problem. That's the feel bad of a wipe mechanic, that it feels like bullshit, right? Like more often than not, it feels like I forgot to grab the ball. Now everybody dies.
Yeah.
But the point is, like in lore, you can attenuate that by making it have sense. For example, if you go, if you
Okay,
go,
so the lore, we're talking about mechanics.
no, exactly, no. But I mean, like, to make that feel bad wipe mechanic less feel bad, and that way you make the player feel more comfortable engaging with it and not calling it so much bullshit. For example, I will give you a quick example. When you're fighting with the Graverobber Lord, you're in a swamp. So imagine if vines of toxic gases start growing, and that's your war mechanic. If you don't kill them fast enough, the gas will grow to a point that it will kill you by toxic. That's what I mean with a wipe mechanic that makes sense, and it doesn't feel that bad because you can see where it's coming from. But the wipe mechanics in Destiny are like ridiculous. It's like a little white notification, like, oh, you forgot to say hello, and then you explode. That's what I mean. It can be a personal gripe, but I think it will be like a game will be better served when the white mechanics are clear.
I don't care about that.
I know. I mean, it could be a personal gripe. That's why I was saying.
No, because it's supposed to be a wipe mechanic. You just wipe because you did something wrong, and that's it.
Yeah. But it's better when
And
you know
it shouldn't
clearly
be like,
what you're doing wrong. No, it's better when you know clearly what you're doing wrong.
I mean, in the rest that we have done so far in Destiny, it's always clear what we did wrong.
Sometimes it feels like bullshit. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's bullshit.
we always knew what we were doing wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's like something about my game design clarity that I feel like you should be a little bit more clear with wipe mechanics. Anyways, it's a personal thing.
Okay. About which one are you complaining in Destiny? Because for how much I dislike the game,
Yeah.
I like the raid mechanic. They're
Alright,
pretty
fair,
engaging.
fair. Yeah. I think the one the room with the runners. I think the one with the runners, like if you don't kill the psyches, they suddenly explode you.
Oh, that's super straightforward. What?
Yeah, but there is not like a visual cue when you see the psyche like going out in a white flash, and then you know that you didn't kill him or something like that. They just disappear, and then you get the notification. That's what I'm talking about. You see, not being clear what you're doing wrong. Like for us, it's clear because Julian told us, like if you don't kill the psyches, you're gonna wipe. But there is not a follow-up effect besides the notification that it makes it clear. Like if when a psychic explodes, the screen will makes it black, or everybody will get like an effect or something like that. That will make sense. Yeah, with the ball I had no problem because I know when I was gonna die because the ball will start to glow and glow more and glow more, and I was like, yeah, I'm holding this ball too much. I'm gonna blow up. Right? That makes the wipe mechanic clear, that and you don't feel bad because you know exactly what you're doing wrong. But with the psychics, it was like, oh, you missed one. Where?
Were you ever on the platforms?
Huh? No, but I was
you were
like,
always running.
I was running and looking at you guys.
Nah, it looks different. Like it's pretty obvious when you miss it.
It's pretty obvious for you guys when you miss a psychic. For me inside the running, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's because you had a different job.
All right. Okay. And now what you mean. Now I know what you mean. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe that's the thing about perception in that.
So for example, I couldn't see a glow in your ball.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
And that's now we're talking about it. That's another thing that could be interesting in Borderlands, like team splitting for certain stuff. The problem is that you're gonna do
solo,
yeah,
solo experience. That will hinder. No, you will have to do stuff like the raid that they're gonna do. I hope.
Yeah, I always like that. Like, yeah, I always like that splitting the team and like coordinating team kind of thing. It's always
cool.
pretty.
Yeah, that's always pretty nice. But I think I will do. Yeah, I think we will agree in like some bosses need the wipe mechanic, the hardest I will say, and the smallest one will benefit from the regen, smaller things. Like in Killable, you will have some generators.
Yeah. The thing is that you still have to be careful with how you balance all of that.
Yeah.
Because then people will never kill the bosses with wipe mechanics.
Maybe you can say, for example, that if you kill the mechanic related, you will get a chance of an extra drop.
Maybe. Yeah. You have to be careful because it's kind of the problem that like people don't go and farm Karakawa Jr.
Yeah. Because his mechanic is annoying as balls.
Because he's annoying. So
yeah.
So and that's a problem because then you have a fight and people are not engaging with that fight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you have to be careful of the design of the mechanics too. That's true. Yeah, but then like what would you do? For me, the answer for that, like maybe it's an easy answer, is like just give them extra rewards for engaging with the mechanic, for doing it right, quote unquote. But I think the mechanic from Karega was kind of meh.
Yeah, no, he's very meh and just annoying. It's not engaging. Especially because it's hard to follow him. Like
it's because he's small. He's very small. If it was like a bigger model, it will be easier to see.
Yeah.
And he's like super thin.
I mean, you could argue that's what makes it difficult and interesting, but yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah, he's just annoying.
I think the overall feel is like we would like to engage in more complex fights in Borderlands.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Will it be possible to bring unique like items? It can equip one of her. So you're thinking about like Borderlands will need an exotic system.
Not needed. Like it doesn't have to have it. Like I'm just asking. Would it bring something to the table?
Of course, you can have an exotic system. A one-off.
Yeah, but would it benefit the game for what Borderlands 3 is? Which is a different question.
Benefit the game. I would say Yes, and it will have to be similar to what Division does with their exotic when they have a perk when they not using the gun. Because you don't have
Got
to,
it.
you don't have, yeah, because you don't want to simply force the people to use only the exotics in that case.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do it that way. I will do it that way. When you have like when you have gun, of course, the other like shield exotics and artifacts and that sort of stuff. Those are easy to do because they just give you that like that much of an ability. But you know that you cannot have a gun exotic, right?
Sure.
But for the guns, I will do the same thing as Division when you have like holster talents. I think
Yeah.
that will increase
I can see that.
diversity. But I think I don't know. I think like with the anointed system, I think Borderlands has enough diversity in their item. It's my
I know.
opinion.
I was just thinking
But
that
it's
it's
possible.
interesting that they didn't put that,
Yeah. But
since it
it's
is fairly widespread in the genre.
yeah. But I think it's because they have a lot of confidence on their system, on their like
And that's fine.
randomizer
That's fine.
system.
That's what I'm not. That's why I'm not saying they should. I'm just wondering, would it improve the experience? And actually, I was thinking maybe not, because like some of the not legendary, the yellow drops
Yeah.
are already quite unique, and like they do interesting stuff. So how much more can you, like, you have shields that leave you with 1 point of health, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. 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 So
or
that's a
there
unique
are,
enough. Yeah. Yeah. I think
yeah,
that's
and
why. I think that's why they didn't do it. Like they have to push the system way far to do something like
yeah,
exotics.
and
Like,
that's what I was
and the
thinking.
system
Like,
is already pushed way far with the legendaries. So I don't think it needed with the yeah with the legendary tools. So I don't think it needed.
and actually, can you push it more, because it's pretty insane already. Like,
Well, they're already announcing that they're gonna put Mayhem 4, so maybe there is room for it.
yeah, no, I mean, but not in terms of difficulty, but like on, because we have already acknowledged that if you're gonna put like these unique items,
Yeah.
they have to be game changing.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Yes.
But we already have items like that in like
In the
legendaries like that.
legendaries, yeah, 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 yeah.
So
And that includes some of the anointed abilities
yeah,
system. Yeah.
so do we have room to that game changing experience in these unique items?
You can, for example, I will tell you some exotic that will fit into Borderlands and is for most changing his bear into something else, like a tank or two bears or something insane, or let you the ability to have two pets in flag, for example.
That
That
okay.
examples, right? That example absolutely game breaking things, or have like two drones with same on top of your digi clone, or like, and then this is like generic examples.
Oh yeah,
You will be fickling with the ability side of the thing, right? Because the
that would be interesting.
because the legendaries, if you think about it, the legendary system in the pistols and the Borderlands, they only affect the gun damage and the grenades damage,
Yeah,
but they don't
yeah.
they don't move anything of your skill trees,
That will be a good way to
right?
it.
The only thing that affect skill trees and is a very small thing is anointed because they give you
Yeah, but
like
I know they don't change the skills.
yeah,
They
exactly.
just give you buffs when something happens with the skill.
So yeah, so the way we will do it will be changing the nature of the skills.
That'll be
That would be the
interesting.
way to do
Yeah,
exotics.
I would like
A
uh,
multi-pet exotic.
yeah, like you know this pair of rings in Diablo 3 for the witch doctor that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
change.
The Gargantu and the
Yeah, it gives you 3 or it
or
gives you
one
one
big
big dog.
one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
So something like that would be pretty cool. Like, instead of one big dog, you get 3 small dogs.
Three
Oh,
small
sorry.
dogs. Or you can have the dog, the bird, and the monkey at the same time
Yeah.
with less power, but you can have you can have three of them. That would be the
Yeah.
nature. That would be the way I will do exotic.
I like
Actually,
that.
fit it with
I
the
like
three.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't,
good.
but that sounds really hard to implement.
Absolutely, because who knows how those And that would
Yeah,
break
and
the balance in half because you have to think about like all the passive and how they affect.
not only the balance, but from what you mentioned, since
Yeah.
there is nothing that changes the abilities,
Yes,
they're probably super hard coded. Like,
that's probably true. That is probably true.
and they're not that easy to change.
Correct.
It would be
So
super interesting. I
yeah,
would love that. I would
there
love
you
to have
go.
that.
There you go. You have that space for the XRX.
Yeah, so imagine for mouse, instead of summoning one bear, just summoning 3 small bears that run
Or
around.
instead of summoning a bear, you summon a super tank that runs around by itself and cleans everything.
That would be cool.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. For saying for Amara, instead of like summoning arms, you summon feet or something weird, or like you summon a copy of her which casts the stuff. You can do like, or instead of like casting an arm, you make rain of some kind, like actually like rain of elemental. I don't know.
Yeah, like a more AoE kind of damage.
Yeah, exactly beyond the feast. There you go. There's like ways to do it. All
That
right.
would be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there
Good.
an end game in Borderlands 3? How to improve it? How an end game will look like?
Is
There's
there?
technically an end game for Borderlands 3, and it's
Okay.
collecting legendaries or making arena runs, endless arena runs, or challenge runs. That too.
I know all of that.
We haven't seen the raid, which would be important for it,
Yeah.
right? For how the end game is going to shape. But I think they're gonna end up like they got at the root of Diablo.
That's what I'm feeling. That
Yeah.
they're moving towards a random infinite dungeon.
Yeah, which is not bad.
Clear. It's not bad.
A style of endgame. Let's see
It
how
is-
the
it
raid
is, I agree.
content is going to be interesting, and the events. The events has been like interesting, like the spooky event that we're experiencing last time.
Yeah, events are events, and
Yeah.
they're fine. But yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I know that the way that is seems to be shaping is this dungeon runner, like dungeon crawler kind of thing,
Yeah,
and I just don't know if it is befitting of Borderlands 3.
yeah. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine side of endgame. We will have our trilogy of endgame. We'll leave this question there. See, we can figure it out. But I think that's one style of endgame which is okay, right?
It
It's
is.
the same-
It is.
It's the same as for Path of Exile. They do that too when they have like
Yeah.
endless constructed maps.
Yeah, so it's another dungeon crawling endgame
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
So I think they
Just
go in
go
that
and kill stuff.
They go in that route because if you think of like in terms of Destiny, the end game of Destiny are the raids, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the end game of Division 2 is the raid on top of the heroic
Yep.
missions, invaded missions, and that's it. And that's I think that's fine as end game content is. I think is fine for what Borderlands is because it's kind of like a solo-ish experience, and you need those end game experience to keep them solo. So the raid content is not like super necessary for you to experience the end game. Because
Yeah, I'm still super curious to see what are they gonna do with their quote unquote right.
yeah, we will report here,
Right,
folks,
like-
in the future how they do. When we were talking about the future end game podcast episodes.
Yeah.
And name items are too rare at the moment. What are you talking about? Are you talking about bosses? Are you talking about
Name? Did I put items?
name enemies? Sorry.
Name enemies. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know that there are like these mini bosses around the world?
Besides the
And we had an event where
besides
they
the
were like.
badasses.
Sorry?
Beside the badasses.
Yeah, we have. There are just name enemies.
All right, there's different type of name enemies inside the war where they are badasses, name it, and they drop certain legendaries, right? You're clear about this, right?
Yeah. I know.
All right. So, and on top of that, the recent event brought name enemies with special loot.
Yeah,
You
but
still
the
want
point
more
is
name
that
enemies.
okay, the thing for the event was just during the event, and
Yes.
that's gone.
Okay.
And My point is that felt super good.
Yes.
It was super
So
interesting
you
to
want
see
more,
name.
more of that in the nature of
Yeah,
in the normal game.
because a lot of the gameplay, if you're not like farming bosses,
Yeah.
it's just going around killing stuff, and at some point that's kind of dull, you know.
Yeah, I will argue that maybe is that the case to actually generate random name enemies inside the base game. I think they will be favor about that. Like even a random enemy generator, like the blah blah of the blah, and then you generate it inside an encounter, right? With a
Sure.
special loot, with a random legendary loot drop, right? Or with their own like randomized loot table. Anyways,
Yeah,
in the game
it's just that, like, my point is just that running around the game, after some point, it feels kind of boring, really. And while the event was happening, with the name enemy event was happening, it was interesting, like, just to be going around and see these guys pop out, and you say, "Oh, that's a name."
I think that's
I'm gonna go and kill it.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
gonna
always
go and poke it.
interesting. That's always interesting, and that's the way the Division 2 does it. They generate random name enemies, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
Find unique
But my point is that it should happen
more
often, just being out there, you know.
I think you have to be careful. You have to have a balance when encounter random name enemies is interesting and not a commonplace.
Sure.
Right? So that's the balance. Maybe Borderlands are faulting by the not so much balance because they have all the collection of badasses name for the for the hunts that the dude offers you, the dude with the Jacobs dude offers you.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a collection of name boss enemies that you can go and repeatedly hunt on all the planets.
Yeah.
On top of the normal enemies on the story. Right?
Yeah.
But definitely
those hunts always happen in the same place.
Yes, like, that's true. So I know what you mean. I think I will agree with you. I think they will be beneficial for a random enemy system inside the game besides the badass system.
Yeah.
I think yes. I would like that. It will be that will be a nice feature.
Also, that is like harder.
And they demonstrate in this event that they can do it easily.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. What did I just say? That the event felt good.
Yes.
But it was just an event.
Yeah,
it should happen more.
I just realized that.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That was literally what I was saying.
I'm sorry. I was clarifying the other point. But anyways, yes, they will for sure benefit to have this in the base game.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yes, absolutely. You're right, Lucho. Good job. And finally,
no, I mean it's just to spice up the experience, because after a while it just gets kind of dull.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely yeah. The repeated they go for Mayhem and they go for the story again. You will and it would be nice if they put it into the difficulty when you get more spawns on enemies. The highest difficulty that you go, that would be like. But you have to think like Borderlands is kind of an insane game, because if you go to higher difficulty, you get more anointed and more badasses name. And then you will have on top of that more name enemies. Like, and then you get to a point when you don't see normal enemies in terms of difficulty.
That's fine.
Super interesting. Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. That would be super interesting. When all your levels are full of badasses, anointed, and name enemies.
But that's okay. Like, in the sense that, like, you don't expect to see these name enemies on the lower side of the difficulty scale.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're like super common. Like, it's just that you get to see them in every other fight, for example.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, fair enough. Yeah.
It's not like there are just packs of them all around the plane.
Yeah, fair enough. And
just right now we don't have that.
Yeah, and we want it, and it's good. To finish up our deep dive, are we okay with the ever-patching nature of games nowadays?
Yes.
Yes, we like.
It's like a new set of Legos all the time.
I think the whole thing is like, yes, we're okay with this. Yes, close the loops of feedback because you need it to balance your game and make it more fun. We are not against this.
Yeah, that's the most important part of the whole discussion, is just as long as you have a clear communication path with the community and
you're diligent
and you're
with
willing to listen.
Yeah, and you're diligent with your problems, you're patching often enough, and you're willing to listen and to be transparent with the community. And I'm not talking about transparency like Anthem. I'm talking about like transparency like, oh, we see this data, and this data indicate us that this is happening, and you show that to the community. You show that you're
Yeah.
actually looking at certain things. You know, like you're not like taking decisions out of a hat, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but
yeah.
this doesn't mean that you have to deliver a broken game and then fix it later, right? We are okay that the games can change and be patched and etc., but we're not okay if you on the get go give us a super broken game that is not working.
But those are like, a game can be unbalanced,
Yes.
but technically working. Like,
Yes. Yes.
and those are different things. Those are
Different
completely
things.
different
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you can have a completely working product. It just doesn't have that many bugs and stuff like that. Everything works.
Yes.
It is unbalanced. Yeah, you can
Yes.
change that because life is like that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, we shouldn't never expect anything less than a working product.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because this is your Blender example. Like, yeah, when you buy a Blender, you expect it to work.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, we give us our ideas to make Borderlands 3 a better game. Hopefully, the developers will listen to us and say these guys are right. They're actually working towards some of the stuff that we're talking about right now, which is very good sign of a healthy game.
Yeah.
That they're actually patching a lot of stuff and bringing a lot of stuff, all the things that we're talking about. Clearly, the Calypso Twin things is something for the future, but you never know.
Maybe
still
they
a
could do
suggestion.
an event where they add some side story quests and they
Yeah.
add some lore and
Yeah.
stuff.
But
Yeah.
with that, we go to our audience questions and feedback of this podcast.
Yeah.
Remember, you can always write to us and send us your love and your questions and your doubts and your feedback, how to make this podcast a better podcast and a better place for you to listen and to hang around. So the first thing that we have is the quality of a story. Talking about the last podcast, the Borderlands 3 story analysis that we did, should be measured in terms of narrative and if whatever the gameplay serves the story or the story serves the gameplay. Be more strict with judging narrative. That's what the audience is asking. So
Okay.
we should make a note of judging the narrative by itself outside the gameplay, if it serves the gameplay or not.
But I don't agree with that.
Okay.
No, I mean, in the sense that most of the times, if the gameplay loop is good, the narrative for me can be secondary.
But I think that's something personal for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how I judge narrative in games.
Okay. So
Because that's what I like. Like I don't judge games as, like, for me, games are not necessarily storytelling devices.
okay.
For
The
me,
whole,
games are like a thing to play with, or just a set of tools for me to enjoy. And I can make up the story in my head. It's like playing with Legos, you know?
All right, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
That's how I look video games.
But there's some video games which are clearly trying to tell you a story or narrative.
Yeah, and what do you figure? I don't care.
All right, so for that piece of feedback is, remember that this podcast is in part or on personal opinions. I try to be as
Yeah. No, it is our personal opinions, and that's what this person is saying. It's a valid way of approach a video game. I'm just saying that me personally, that's not how I approach video games.
There you go.
I approach them like as pieces of Legos that I put where I want, and then I do a lot of headcanon for the games that I like.
All right. And the second piece of feedback is a question. What happens if I remove the story from Borderlands 3? Is the game still compelling?
Is it to you?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, it is. And it's for the exact same reason that I just explained.
Yes.
It's because the small Lego pieces
are still very fun.
are very fun to play with.
Yeah.
And it's just again like playing with Legos. Like I will build something with Legos. Like when I was a kid, I will put Legos together, and then I will make my own stories around them.
Yeah.
And that's how I play video games to this day.
The interesting thing about Borderlands is like the story can be anything, but the environments and the enemies are so fun to contend with and fight with that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the same point with Monster Hunter. It's the basic pieces to play with are so much fun.
Yeah, the fights and everything is so much fun, but the other things are whatever.
Yeah, then and it's not only whatever, but like if you have a childlike imagination,
you
just imagine your own narrative and you put it in your head, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah. I think the answer with that is yes. Don't forget that for the questions and feedback, you can write us on our email, thesweatyandthefarmer, thegamedesign@gmail. You can send us Twitters or our Twitter page. You can pass by my stream. I stream from Monday to Fridays and ask questions there from the podcast, and I will take it as feedback and put it here and ask all your burning questions. You can send us a snail mail or whatever you want.
We're more than happy to hear from you guys.
Yes.
That's all for this week's episode. Once again, thanks for tuning in. The Sweaty, the Farmer, and the Game Design. My name is Lucho, and you can find me on Twitter at LuisGPolanco.
And I'm the Long Name Gamer. You can find me on Twitter at TheLongNameGamer and on Twitch on twitch.tv/TheLongNameGamerTV, where I stream Mondays to Friday. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, click that notification bell thingy. Apparently it's very important for YouTube and stuff.
Please do.
To the Sweaty, the Farmer, and the Game Design. See you next time, boys.
Bye.
Bye. And did you know eating too much red-colored dragon fruit can give you pseudohematuria, which can turn urine reddish? Sorry, boys, you didn't get your menstrual cycle. You're not a woman yet.
And the cactus flower that produces dragon fruit survives only a single night. It blooms in the evening, ready for pollination by bats and moths, and wilts the very next day. The very brief pollination period, however, is sufficient for the plant to bear fruit.
Wow, that sounds super sad.
Yeah.
It was like, I just live one day.
One night.
And then I give birth. the smallest, more poetic cycle of life ever.
Yeah.